with a rare statement of his own. NBC's chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander is following all of it for us. Peter, good morning.
Laura, good morning. The president's allies have called for various judges to be removed for blocking administration policies in the first months of his second term. But President Trump himself raised the stakes by arguing a judge who ruled against him should be impeached. In fact, many presidents, Democrats and Republicans, have seen their policies stopped or stalled by a single federal judge. But President Trump is doubling down. Overnight, President Trump responding to an extraordinary and rare rebuke from the Supreme Court's Chief Justice John Roberts, a conservative. It comes after the president called for the impeachment of a federal judge who ruled against his administration in a high-stakes deportation case.
He didn't mention my name, but many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left.
That federal judge, James Boasberg, ordered the halt of deportation flights carrying Venezuelan migrants that the Trump administration has labeled gang members. The administration using an obscure 18th century law, the Alien Enemies Act, to send them to prisons in El Salvador. In response to the earlier social media post by the president calling for Judge Boasberg to be impeached, Chief Justice Roberts writing, "For more than 2 centuries it's been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision," adding the appeals process exists for that purpose. Last night, the president was asked if he would defy a court order.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges.
Just before his administration was dealt new blows by the courts. Late yesterday, a federal judge blocking his day-one effort to ban transgender people from serving in the military. And another federal judge ruling that billionaire Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency's unilateral actions to shut down USAID likely violated the Constitution. The agency provides billions in aid, including food and medicine, to foreign countries. It comes as some Republicans have faced blowback over Musk's role, like Nebraska Congressman Mike Flood, who responded to concerns in a contentious town hall last night.
I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency.
Peter, let's go back to these groups of people who are being deported. What more do we know about how exactly the administration is determining who to deport?
Yeah, Laura, the White House has said that these deportees are members of a violent Venezuelan gang, and administration officials say that the individuals have been investigated, that they've been vetted. However, families and lawyers for some of these accused gang members argue that their individual has been wrongly singled out. The lawyer for one of them telling NBC News that her client is a law-abiding citizen, saying that he was targeted simply because of his tattoos. And notably, in a new court filing, an ICE official acknowledged that many of the deported migrants do not have criminal records here in the United States, while arguing, quote, the lack of specific information about each individual actually highlights, they say, the risk they pose. Laura?
Peter Alexander, thank you.
We turn now to the president's high-stakes phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. The two leaders taking what could be an initial step toward the White House's goal of a ceasefire. But just hours later, Russia launching new attacks inside Ukraine. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is on the ground for us. He is in Ukraine this morning. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Craig. Despite President Trump's peace initiative, the ceasefire here in Ukraine never took hold, with both Russia and Ukraine firing at each other, both on the offensive. But the process is not over, with Ukraine's President Zelensky saying he will speak with President Trump later today.
Ukraine says Russia fired dozens of drones even after President Putin agreed to a partial ceasefire in a phone call with President Trump. Among the targets, a hospital near the city of Sumy, according to Ukrainian officials, and a railway power station, according to the company. Ukraine's President Zelensky, who already accepted a U.S. proposal for a total ceasefire if Putin does the same, said this morning Putin's words are at odds with reality and that Russia is not ready to end the war. Ukraine launched dozens of its own drones at Russia, hitting an energy site, according to officials there. President Putin agreed to suspend attacks on Ukraine's energy and infrastructure for 30 days, according to a readout from the White House, and enter negotiations soon in the Middle East for a full ceasefire and permanent peace. President Trump described his nearly 2-hour call with Putin as positive.
And Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. He said that very strongly. But with all of that, I had a very good relationship with Putin.
Outside of Kharkiv, near the front lines in eastern Ukraine, these volunteers are following Russian troops with drones, operating out of a mobile command center they built themselves. Ivan Kravchenko has no faith Putin will honor any agreement with Ukraine. Russia wants to play its game, and they are interested in the truce only in order to increase their military power, he said. In a nearby safe house, the unit commander showed me an operation as it unfolded, a Russian mortar position being attacked by Ukrainian bombs.
Do you think that Putin is playing President Trump?
Yeah, sure. Putin is trying to deceive everybody because he thinks he's a master of spy games and deceiving. Nobody can trust him.
In his conversation with President Trump, President Putin said he also wants a series of hockey games, U.S. versus Russia, to improve relations. Currently, Russia is barred from international hockey competition. Craig?
All right, our chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel on the ground in Ukraine for us. Richard, thank you.
Okay, back here at home, there is more to get to, including a big night in college basketball. March Madness